A new winner on the PGA, lots of builds done, an iron review, PGA show, all kinds of stuff just coming up here in just a minute. Welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk with Jim McCleary here in a snowy Waverly, Ohio. 7 inches worth of snow here, more other places to be sure. And What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old Clubmaker Club fitters are tremendous pack rats. And that's what we did. We talked about what we had in my cabinets over there. And it turned into a very awesome discussion worldwide with folks all over the place. So that's what we're going to talk about today is golf gear, golf fittings, golf opinions, and the PGA Merchandise Show. All right. So to get started, the winner of the Sony, if you weren't watching it, you missed a great shot at the very end. Hideki Matsuyama wins again, and by hitting a 277-yard 3-wood. Yeah, I said 3-wood. And he faded it in, and it stopped. Isn't that something? And imagine that, a fade stopping when it landed. And he made his eagle putt, and he won. And overcame Russell Henley had a 5-shot lead. And there was a bit of, one guy doing good, one guy not doing so good. And all of a sudden, the tables are turned. Russell Henley did very, very well. I mean, he shot every round he shot was sub 60. It was 65 or sub 65. So give the man some props. And we saw some, names up there at the top. We saw even Mrs. McGolf recognized Kuchar was up in there. I was like, so hey, it was a good round. Good rounds to be had, to be sure. All right. So if you guys haven't seen yet the video, I released the video again a day early, but that's okay. I've got another one coming of the Rogue ST irons. Now, we talked about them last Monday. This was more of an in-depth thing on it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that in talking more about the specs. If you guys don't like hearing about the specs, let me know, but that's because I'm a club guy, right? And seeing where they go. And I don't think I'm overpowering it by any shape of the imagination, but good night. Hitting a 190-yard 7-iron, whew, that'll get it out there. I mean, you see some of the young bucks out there, and they're throwing it even further. But just a long story short is that surprisingly enough, the feel through them isn't as harsh or as clacky as one would think that they are, particularly in the Max and the Pro model. The surprise was the rifle grip, the rifle shaft. The rifle shaft was pretty nice, and it reminds me of the original rifle, not the Project X. I really liked that one, and it was a familiar feel in the 105. Something to really get a hold of. So not just for grandpa anymore. These things really are going to move. So there's that one. Again, we'll get into it right now. Is like, subscribe, hit that bell. It's down probably here or there. Like and subscribe and do that, and that way you get to see you get to see what it is that we're doing here at McGolf, trying to grow the channel, trying to get the word out about golf equipment, and helping you guys with some golf repairs, which is coming along very nicely, I must say. Boxes to builds. We had the first one that went out. It was talking about Tacoma irons. Did pretty decent, and I've got 2 more already done. We got a bunch of boxes, and we built them. So I've got at least 2 or 3 more coming along. So that should be grand. And to kind of give you an idea of what we are looking at, let's start with this. Now, this one I didn't do a boxes to build. These were new. How about those guys? The new Mizuno STG and an older the same model, because we haven't got them yet. We just haven't got them yet, but they're coming quick. They had they've got the Vertex, They got the Vertex shaft in the driver and an Acra fairway wood shaft. The guy is a strong cat. He hits it very, very well. All righty. So what else did we see? A unique one came into the shop the other day. A Staff Dynapower. How old do you think this guy is? You want to talk about a butter knife edge? There you go. And that thing, that red dot, that's for real. These are actually smaller, and I don't think that they were pinned, but I did not check because I was looking. He had a wood, and the wood was pinned. So it's in that era, right? It was in that era for those pins. All righty. So what else did we put together? Let's see. There's some shafts, and they went to, well, we'll find them here in just a moment. Oh, here's the top of that blade. Okay. So one of my boxes to build, there's the steel fibers, and those are the 80s and the stiff. And here's there's the recoils I was using. And there was a set of used grips that I put back on and cleaned up. They didn't do too bad. And making into some Titleist 100s. This is the 100s, not the 100Ss. And the other ones, I don't have the head picture, so we'll just go from there. And of the dog, she got her hair cut. Now she's got to have a cape on. And to let you know that it really did snow, there's my range. As you can tell, the first yard marker is almost covered up. That's about a foot off of the ground easy. And then looking out at the outdoor bays, that's quite a bit. So boxes to build. Oh, the T100. So I did a shaft change on some left-handed T100Ss. They're the ones they're a little weaker loft. And the young man that came in here, he's quite the player. And I said, let me hit them. And I did. And they're very solid. So not too bad. Not too bad at all. But so we had, I was thinking that we almost touched every single brand out there except for Cobra and in that week. So that was good. I got a set of pings right now. A set of pings sitting on the bench. I got to do a couple of hybrids and make a couple of utility clubs for a gentleman. So we're going to be doing that one. That's going to go to Elyria, Ohio. So we got all that taken care of. So we get out of there. And then we're going to talk about, PGA show. PGA show is next week. And so, the PGA show is a PGA merchandise show, and it's got a storied history. Everybody knows that one. And it typically has a lot of offerings, golf equipment, everything golf related goes to this show. At least it did until COVID hit. And last year, obviously, they did not have it. And this year, they are having it with some limitations. Now, initially, in Florida, they weren't wearing masks, and that was one of the attractive things about going to Florida. And just here recently, they installed a mask mandate for the convention center. Now, that can be argued one way or another, and that's not the story of this. But, I don't want to spend all day in a mask, so we're going to make our time in there short. And we're going to have it, so it's going to end. Monday is typically taken by Acra, and we get to see all the new product, but getting in and out of Canada is going to be a struggle. So they decided to stay home, and I think that's a good choice on their part. If you got caught with anything and having, imagine being a week or two away from where you needed to be, it's difficult, right? It's just difficult. So that was a better decision, at least a business decision on I would think. So anyway, so that Monday's open. I have been invited to go play golf with Steve on the eastern coast of Florida. So that's what we're going to do. That's on a Monday. So I still have to converse with him about live streaming. So we'll see about that. However, Tuesday's the demo day, Wednesday's the first day, and then Thursday for us will be the final day, and then we're going to take off and come on back. And at the end of those days, we will do a live stream. So you can look for us on Tuesday and Wednesday for certain, and then we'll just see how. And I don't think it's going to happen Thursday because we'll be on the road. We'll catch that up on the following Monday. And so it'll be, I'll send out something in the community tab where you guys will see it. I'll send something out on the Twitter and on the Facebook so we know what it is. It'll be a little bit later in the day, 7-ish, I think maybe is what we used to do it, in order to, so we can get home and download some stuff and get ready and, all the things that you got to do to set up for this kind of thing. So that's where it's going to be. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to send me a messenger or something like that if there's something that you want to see. Now, back to the PGA show. Just about every golf club company is not going. So that's going to be a challenge for the PGA show to keep it interesting and light. Now, on the other hand, these smaller companies, like a component companies, there's at least 3 that I know of, will give them a little extra time out front in order to show people what they're capable of. That's a good thing. They're also going to have, from the research I've done so far, there's going to be a couple of extra simulator groups that are going to be there, and a couple of other interesting things. A lot of grip companies, Star Grip, Pure Grip, and a couple other new ones that are making putter grips, and we're going to go see them as well. And I've already got scheduled interviews with Graphite Design Shafts and Nippon Shafts, so we'll see what's new from them as well. So it should be very, very interesting. I think we're going to make short work of it because personally, I don't think it's going to be well attended, but I do want to see it. And honestly, it gets us out of the snow and we get to see some family and talk to some friends. So, heck of a week that's coming up. So that's where we're going with that one. Okay. So the topic, just like to put in a fitting topic or a repair topic. And so the topic is swing speed and quality of hit or smash factor. Now, you guys all know that if you guys have been watching this, I've been doing the workout thing, and I'm behind. I have got all the data. I just have not talked about it since I've done the equipment thing. And I can certainly tell you that it is exactly what the workouts are. You get out of them exactly what you put into them. If you slough off, the results show almost immediately. And that's for me. And of course, I'm not a high-tuned athlete by any shape of the imagination, but it even happens at my level. And the 1 week before, put a lot into it, hit some goals. It was really good. This last week, we were super duper busy. I couldn't put a whole lot as I wanted to in it, and it showed. Now, what I will say is, my swing speed went down a little bit, but again, with getting stronger, the quality of hit is going up. That leads me to the smash factor. When we do fittings, you really, really want your quality of hit to be as high as you can possibly get it. That way, if you're not hitting your best, you still get really good results. A high quality smash factor will override a lot of ills that are out there. So when you're out there looking and somebody has that quality of hit or smash factor, take a look at that and see what you're getting out of it and see if you can't make it better. All righty. Oh, a couple other things. I don't have them. Oh, let me see if I can go hunt this down real quick. And here we go. We got Krister right here, our man from Sweden. He's sporting the McGolf outfit. Look at that. Bad to the bone, man. Well done, and thank you, sir. All right, got one more here. Here we go. We'll get it up. And there's Joe. And that's Joe. And Joe is working on a tail of an airplane. He is quite the airplane mechanic, or aircraft mechanic would be the most appropriate thing to say. And he's got his. So not only it also keeps you warm, allows barbecue, and it also lets you work on airplanes. So one more notch to go there, right? Okay, so let's get started on some comments here. I got one that was sent in to me by John King. He's right here. And he says he sent a question in for tonight's live broadcast because it's pretty lengthy. Recently changed my driver from a Cobra amp cell to a TaylorMade M4. Same shaft and grip and overall length at 44.5. The M4 felt a little lighter in swing weight, so I decided to check them out. The head weights weighed the same when removed, but the swing weight is a half a point different. The M4 swing weight is C8.5 and the specs are D3, but the D3 comes out at 775, 47 and 3/4, which now, if you look at it, that's going to be illegal, right? So I don't even know where that's going. I am planning on changing the removable weights to increase while checking to keep the spin down. Here's the questions. All right. I've also checked my fairway metals. The Adams Ovation swing weight is C7. Is there any standard progression of swing weight through the bag? So number one, is there any standard swing weight through progression through the bag? Yeah, the answer is that is yes. It's a woods, kind of a hybrid, irons, wedges, and then as they tend to get a little heavier. So your lightest swing weight typically is in the driver and fairway wood, and they tend to be very, very close to one another, if not the same. It's rare that that it gets really, really high. So let's just use D0 as a number. Fairway would be D0, D1 ish kind of area, where the hybrid we would expect it to be a little heavier because it is the transition between the fairway and the irons. The irons would be another 2 to 3 swing weight points heavier. So if you're at D0, maybe a D2, D3, D4 area. And again, it depends on the shafts and the models and that kind of thing. And then the wedges, the sand wedge, possibly the gap wedge, the lob wedge, will be heavier still by another swing weight point or two. And that's typically the progression that I see a lot of out there. All right, number 2, what would be the best way to add swing weight or add weight to bring swing weight up? Plan on testing with lead tape until I feel comfortable, but concerned about losing to turf interaction. Number 3, also have hybrids that might need to be changed based on question 1. Okay, so lead tape. Lead tape. So if number 1, if you've got a 47, an almost 48-inch club whose spec, and I don't know anybody out there that's making on nearly 48-inch club. If TaylorMade did it, they snuck one by me, and that's always possible to be sure. But normally 45.5 to 46 inches. And if you cut that down, that makes more sense, okay, to have your normal swing weight. Now, when we're talking about, if you're talking about irons or the fairway woods, about adding weight, so a couple of tricks here. If you want to lower some flight and maybe keep some spin down, you're going to want to throw it through here. If you're just wanting to add weight, you like everything the way that it's going, you throw it through here. You start from the front and work your way all the way to the back. All right. If you're wanting to do a little tweaking and you're overcooking it a little bit, you can throw it in this neck of the woods, and just vice versa for the opposite. Now, in removable weighted clubs, the best way to keep the cosmetics good is to just change the weights. Can you do it in most? If they have removable, yeah. But it's that one's kind of tough. But that's where the lead weight is. Now, when you're talking about the irons, you put them not on the sole, but on the back. So I just my phone. So if this is the face of the club, or this is the club itself, and this is the back with the shaft coming out this way, you would put it on the back of the club. And typically, what you would do is, if it's got a cavity, you would layer it into the cavity this way, so it doesn't get onto the badge, so you don't ruin again the cosmetics. Or you lay it across the backside, and then you fold it in there, and that would help, and that'll help you out. Okay, so that's where I would go with that. So hopefully that helps. All right, back into this. Danny's on. If I understood you correctly from last week, I can switch my Callaway Flash 3-wood shaft with my driver's speed shaft. Would the driver feel like it's a half-inch shorter? Yeah, probably even more so, Danny. Like we were talking. So the tip size is the same. So yes, you can take one out and put it in. However, it will be shorter, and it will play a little stiffer because it's most likely either it's been trimmed or it's a 3-wood shaft, in which case the profile on it is different for the 3-wood versus the driver. I would think likely that it's been trimmed. And yes, it'll play about, inch, maybe even more, an inch shorter, maybe. Yeah, in that neck of the woods. So that's where that would be. But yeah, you can do it. There's Joe. All right. When bore-through hosels came out, what were the advantages, disadvantages of them, and how are they marketed as the next greatest innovation of golf? Well, so bore-throughs in some of the cases, we'll use Callaway's example since that was on one of the videos as of late. When they used it, what it allowed you to do is it had smaller hosel areas, and that forced the center of gravity out. And what the popular philosophy of the day is, if you're hitting on the toe, if we throw that weight out towards the toe, people hit it better. Maybe not so much, but that's what it was. And another one was because it was smaller, but yet it was going all the way through. It was kind of a trade-off for a taller hosel, but not going all the way down. So it was just a manipulation to make it look good. That was in irons. In the driver, basically what that was a trend from woods. And a lot of woods, the shaft went all the way to the bottom, and you saw that little hole on the bottom. And what that did is that just grabbed a whole lot of shaft area and made the club very, very stable for those guys that were very aggressive. And again, the woods were very, very heavy, so they needed a little bit more help. Now, they got to the bigger ones, and they didn't need all that extra help, so it made it a little stiffer, and they got around it. All right, Charles, got out in 28-degree weather. You are the man. There you go. I got one for you. Salute. Hopefully you're not going to get sick. 83 and 28-degree temperature. Ooh. That's what it is right here, and it's dropping fast. And yes, they were like concrete. Yes, they were. Oh, Matt, he shot a 74 in the Frozen Golf Experience 2-putt limit because the snow on the greens. Matt, the snow on the greens. Oh, but it was nice to hit hybrids that go 280 because of the conditions. Oh, 20 inches of snow. That's what you get for Cleveland, man. 20 inches of snow. Wow. All right. Matt's got a question. If you can't see a tee in the ground, what club will you use to tee off? Well, if I got 20 inches of snow on the ground when I'm playing golf, I'm not playing golf, Matt. You might be looking for a snowmobile instead, or a dog sled, something. Holy smokes. Oh, I don't know. I mean, you could just do make a snowman tee and just go from there. That'd be something. There we go. We're talking with Matt. Charles, I can. Good night, you guys. If some folks in straitjackets come looking for you, you know why. Oh my goodness. He says the snow melted off the ground but still solidly frozen. Oh, these guys are talking bad. They're talking back and forth. Oh. All right. Samson Bodefeld. Jim, do you take into account the thickness of the cap of the grip when measuring swing weight? Even if it doesn't weigh much, a thick cap could indicate more swing weight. It does not feel heavier. Do I take into account the thickness of the cap when measuring swing weight? Well, I'll answer this in two ways, Samson. The number one, when I go to measure swing weight, yes, it's included because of the way my machine works. It butts the end of the machine is here, the shaft goes into it, or the grip goes into it there, and there you are. Uh, like you said, when you add, it is a solid rubber, but is it appreciable change? No. And so, no, I don't. If you're asking me if I calculate for going the extra between eighth and quarter of an inch in distance for swing weight versus the weight that it adds because it's a solid rubber, no, I don't, because it tends to be a wash. There's Charles and Matt talking. All right. All right, Nick Flores. I used my total gym. Instead of stretch bands, just put a weight on top of the gym against the wall. Oh, okay. That's one way. That's a good idea. You could do that for certain. All right. And there. Oh, both broke. Oh no. David Hanner from England. Well, hi, David. Thank you for staying up so late to be part of the clan. Thank you for your advice on the MOI machine. I purchased a frequency analyzer instead. Really enjoy my club building. Like I tell everybody that gets started, David, you got to watch out. It's a sticky It's a sticky hobby. It stays with you. Gets under your skin, just like most of them. Oh, speaking of that, that's you're from England. One of the groups at this PGA show that I'm going to go see is called Pub OG, and I hope that they're going to be there. And what they're selling is a Irish pub setup in a way of a bar and the taps and things like that. And they've got a small picture. Of course, there's just the one Guinness pull tap, but I'm sure we could modify that. But it just hit me as something super cool to go see. All right. Depends on how loose they are, David. Either centering beads or brass inserts to take out the slop. Oh, did I miss something? All right. I have a set of Ping 425 grips to upgrade to MC plus fours on dismantling. Dismantling to tip weight to find a steel. Shafts are very loose. Will it take a brush trim? I'm struggling to get the ferrules in the skirts. Okay, so a couple of things here. Good call on the MCC4 plus or plus 4. In the 425, so the 425 in the Ping. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a hybrid. Give me a moment. Dismantling to a tip weight. I find the steel 3 shafts are very loose, and will it take a shim? I'm struggling. Oh, okay. No, so I do know this answer. Woohoo! Now that I figured it out. All right. So this is very much like when I've done. If you go back and look at the PXG reshafts that I've done, it's in the last 4 or 5 videos that I've put out. And the reason why I say that is the head designer Ping went over to PXG. So there's a lot of similarities in the construction slash build of the irons. And what they do, and they both do this, is that there is a lot of wobble in there. Okay, there is. And you have to have the particular ping ferrule. I call it a centering ferrule. And what it is, because the shoulder, I used to have one in here. Anyway, we'll just use this as a scale. On typical collared ferrules, the collar or the shoulder area is only about this long. On PXGs and pings, it goes from this to that. A very significant increase in length. And what it does, it gets in there and it holds that shaft tight. That's why I call it a centering ferrule versus just a collared ferrule, because it holds it in there. And you'd be surprised what happens when you put it in there. In fact, on the last boxes to builds, I think I talk about that one. Anyway, that's what you need. So you need to ensure you have the proper ferrule. Okay. If you don't have the proper ferrule and you only have a small one, then you can always try I would get the 335 to 370, but it'll be a lot of work. I've done that, and I've had to, when they come out and they look like this and then they smash around the shaft like that, I've had to take off one or two of those fingers for them to fit because it's very, very tight. That's the reason why I'm harping on the use of the proper ferrule to make sure it works. It'd be so much easier for you. All right. Manuel, what do you say, sir? How are you? Great to see you here. Look forward to my weekly learning anew. Well, good, buddy. If you gotta give me a question, man, you come up with some good ones. Danny Freeman, snowy South Carolina. I did see a bunch of those. There's a lot of pictures, and there are some freaked out folks, man. When you have those, when you're in a state that normally doesn't get it, and you do, woohoo, that's a different thing. So stay warm. Stay warm. Redemption. Well, what do you say, man? It's been a long time no see. How's Indiana? Is it covered in snow as well? All righty. There's Jack. How are you? Hopefully I gave you the right answer, Jack. Well, I got John King, not Jack King. There's two Kings out here. All right. Nice. Timeout. All righty. Jacob Andrew, what do you say, sir? When are you going to do a review on the new Mizuno medals? Jacob, as soon as I get them. Now I think I'm only going to get one of them is going to come in left-handed, so I might have to get a little bit of help. Now I can tell you that the 200 with the movable weights is a winner. If you're a Mizuno person, certainly worth a look at. The other two are going to be more of the same of what I've got sitting right here. You're going to have a draw bias and you're going to have a standard issue, no movable weights. Just more of the same of what they had. They keep increasing it ever so slightly. So if the trend continues, you should have some pretty decent ball speeds, and it should be a spin killer. So which one that fits you with the shaft. Now I will also say is that I'm looking over there at my shafts, but the Project X VRTX that's to the custom club makers is working very, very well in that club. And there's two models. There's the blue low flight and the high red flight, or the red high flight, and they both do very, very well. All righty, Sunny V. Forecaster is up for, oh my goodness gracious. This 20-inch thing, man, I don't know. That's a lot of snow to get rid of, man. A lot of snow. Jeffrey, good afternoon to you too, sir. James Hodges, hi at David Henner Golf. James Hodges, hi at David Henner Golf Club. eBay UK is also ABC Sport also on eBay, but Nasser in China. Collar ferrules have to wait for delivery from China, but nice quality. Oh, okay. Very good. We have specs. I'm glad that you like them, Charles. I like doing them because it's always been to me, it's a sign of how much they're putting into how much they're doing. Now we measure all of them when they come in and they leave anyway, so they will be to spec. But I just like to see them be more. When you ever get those, how many times you heard the story where you go to a demo day and you just absolutely creamed it, and and then you get a set and it's nothing like you hit on demo day, and it's probably because there was a spec change that the guys just weren't aware of. Nice snow in the backyard. Thanks. How much do you have? I know you got more than we did. That's my sister right there. Dave, what do you say? How many? I guess you guys are snowed in now too, right? Okay, Travis, what do you say, buddy? Interesting. Great video on the Rogue Stay. Well, thank you. Interesting move going with the rifle shafts, maybe due to ongoing shaft shortage. Uh, I don't think so. We'll go with that. I don't think so, only because the OEMs tend to basically spread it around, right? They like spreading it around, and the ugly side of the business is they go looking and they say, I want this type of profile and I want it at this cost. Can you do it? And if they say no, then they go to another guy that will. And there you are. Now, I'm hoping that this 105 is an opening uh, to the aftermarket, because I have not seen anything in this realm from them. And like I said in the video, the 105 110 range is the soft spot, particularly if you can get it in a flighted set. Holy smokes, will that be nice? And it did hit well. I mean, I am an advanced certified rifle center, and the feel is very, very similar from the set I made for myself. Only obviously a little heavier, but I just like the way that it came through. Now, my other favorite, I think I probably would have liked. I want to say I want to like the white, but I think the blue is probably the next one. There's Darren. Love the snow. Oh, love the show. I thought you were saying love the snow. Okay. Well, thank you. Bristol, UK. Wow. There's two. Thank you, James. Robert Long. Good evening, South Carolina. Hopefully, you guys are getting uncovered from the snow. What is the best swing weight for most golfers with a driver? And what might be some plus or minuses of a lighter, heavier swing weight with that with swing habits? Okay. So, Robert, the what I'm seeing now, we'll go with what the spec is. I'm starting to see, in the day, you used to see uh, D2 to D4 maybe in the driver, and it has since come down. Now it is closer to D0 to D2, where the irons are the 2 and up range. And so that would be the spec. Now, why do I say that? Uh, I say that because these OEMs have done a truckload of testing with golfers and what reacts best for them. And so that's where you get it from. Now, what do I find? I find that it depends on if you've been here before, the best answer is it depends. However, I'm finding that in that D0, which seems to be light, but that D9 or C9 to D1 range tends to be the most common. And because most people don't know what it is until you tell them, and they go by feel, and that's where they've been landing. Now, if you're a guy that is we'll say smooth, and the kind of smooth that's a Ernie Els kind of smooth, you could afford to be a little lighter in your swing weight because it starts here, right? Not down here, but here. And if you can get, because right here, as a smoother person, you have that touch and you can bring it around and you release it very, very well. As an aggressive guy, it's just the opposite. You're pulling it back and you're right there and you want to go down. And if it's lighter, you lose it. And then you could, there's a lot of inconsistencies. And so if it's a little heavier, you can find that golf club. So what I would tell you, Robert, is if you're a smoother guy, you want to, you can go lighter. Do you have to? No. They just tend to gravitate that way. Whereas if you're a more aggressive individual or you're a younger guy and you're just like, all about fitness and whatever, you'll tend to go the other way or something a little heavier. Hopefully that helps, bud. There's Al. What do you say, bud? Can you close the door, please? It was 47 degrees here. I'm telling you, man. We've been watching the weather, and it's just like nice, 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 and then the ceiling drops clean out. I saw some temperatures where you guys are going to hit the 30s, and it's going to turn around, pop right back. But brr, right, for you guys particularly. And I know I was down there in the Navy in Orlando, and a 32 degrees of cold there is not like a 32 degrees of cold here. That humidity makes up a big difference. All right. Kyle, what do you say, man? My swing speed of my irons has increased a fair bit. Nice. 7 iron 85. Hey, I know that one. Wondering if I should look at S-Flex shafts soon. MPMCC recoil F3 currently. Number one, if you're experiencing, we'll say, spraying of the ball, and it goes this way, right? We call it Army golf, one side, the middle, one side, the middle. If you're seeing that now, then yes, make it happen. And yes, you want to go in there. The 85 is what I would call bottom to middle of the stiff range now. Okay. The bottom end. So, and the recoil, well, maybe not, because the recoil 95s are pretty stout. The taper tips, the recoil 95s actually tend to play a little bit more than advertised. So what you may be experiencing is that the club might actually feel softer, maybe even a little bit more friendly. And that's because they tend to play a little bit more stiff. I just had some 95s in here and saw the exact same thing. And so you very well they may be coming into the way that you're swinging. Okay, so I would wait and gauge them and see whether or not, if you're not spraying the ball, then no. If you're finding out that you hit one and you just absolutely nuke it and it goes forever, and then your distances this way are starting to suffer, that could be another indication of a change and where you're catching it on the club. Sally and I shoved for 3 hours. Thankfully, our neighbor got out his blower and helped. We were still snowed in. Got to wait for the trucks. Oh my goodness! So no martial arts for you this week. Nice, but you got to spend time with the family, Matt. I mean, I'm sure the kids were just sitting there, and you guys were trading stories, being the teenagers that they are, watching Disney. I'm being sarcastic in a very high manner because we've lived through that one ourselves, and none of that happens. Kurt Evans, he's 1970 staffs. He said it was in the 60s or 70s where they were from. He was looking to offload them. I said, well, I don't know where you're going to sell something like that, but they did have them. And that's a fact, dude. You saw what we got to do. So that's a great thing. I used to have one on a nice tractor, but we got rid of both. That was a good idea. You're not wrong. Calvin Riley, any insights into Garson quad tour or quad pistol? Well, actually, Calvin, I've got some in the shop. Uh, I've got some in the shop. I'm kind of a fan of the Garson grip. I like the original round one that goes like this. The what are we going to call this thing? It's not a parallelogram. It's a is it a rhombus? Where it goes out and then comes back in and goes down. I think it's a rhombus. Anyway, that shape does the same thing and gives you what would be a more traditional looking putter grip. Okay. So now that your hands are going in here underneath like that, it does the same thing. The rubber I like. It's a high quality rubber. It's not super sticky, but it's not super smooth either. It's that, those ping grips that everybody always had the little ping man on it. It's very similar to that fashion. Uh, the pistol, I don't think I've seen just yet. I've got the quad tour though, and for me, I'd have to put a couple rolls of tape underneath of it, but I think it's a very nice grip. Danny, I have a set of 56 Wilson Staff Dyna-powered irons in the garage. Anybody want them? I'm telling you. Kyle, I like to stick with graphite, but something stiffer and lower launch if that's possible in graphite. Any suggestions? I'm thinking about that one. Number one, I could suggest with beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you wanted, the lower launch is a little something different. That's from an iron shaft. There's a constant weight iron shaft from Acra that they make in their I series. Very nice, very, very nice shaft. That would be one. And it comes in taper tip, which is exactly what you need. So the real trick here is getting the right taper tipped. And that's the 95. That's what it comes in. And so does this constant weight. Trying to think of another one. They've got another one. Another one that might work for you in that same quadrant is um, the KBS TGI. Now the TGI, there's two now. There's a TGI and a PGI. And the TGI would be the lower of the two, where the PGI is the higher of the two. And they have also a 95, and they have what would be an R plus, and I would suggest that one. I've played those. In fact, I got them in that set that you can see right here. I got them sitting in that set, and it's every bit of the shaft that you'll ever want, and it could keep the ball down. We say, Duke. All right, from frozen tundra of Lee Valley, PA. Yeah, I know. Did you see the new releases from Fuji? No, I have not. I probably should see them. I get an email from them about once every 6 months about come become a charter member. And in this neck of the woods, Duke, it's not a called for shaft. I like the guys at Fuji. They are very intently into making golf shafts, and they're good at it. It's just it becomes a business decision than anything else. All right. Michael Barber, what do you say, sir? Hi from the UK. Love the videos. Well, Michael, thank you very much. And thanks for staying up late with you and the other folks from the UK. I appreciate it very much. And there's my man Krister. Well, he was the man wearing the apron. A windy Sweden. Well, maybe the apron will keep you a little warmer. Highly doubtful, but it never goes. We're waiting on the news on that shaft that you're supposed to be getting. See if it helped you out. All right, Darren. Bench full of putter. Is that a bench full of putter heads behind you? Do you have a lot of options for personal fittings? No, Darren. Back here? Those are all my irons. Right. This is. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, that's all my irons. So the front row is Wilson. The next two rows are Mizuno and Strixon. and they go all the way across from this point here to that point there, and lefties and righties and all the different models that there are, at least for right now. And then behind those, you can see I have the wood heads, but those are part of the fitting system because I'm in the fitting room. Tyler's told me that my new clubs will not be delivered till mid-April. Wow. That is what you call a severe supply chain issue. When does the snow start melting your way, Krister? That is a heck of a good question, Charlie. Mike Engel, we haven't seen you for a bit. What's going on? How is swing weight affected removing 3/4 of an inch from a graphite shaft? 3/4 of an inch is around 4, and depending on what you've got going on, 4 to 5 swing weights. Had 3 swing weight points per half inch. I wish I could make it to the PGA show, buddy. It's just fear and common sense, man. Climbing a plane or driving. We're driving this year. We tend to fly, drive, except for the last 2 years we flew. But this year we're driving just because we're visiting some family and whatnot. And I don't think that they would allow me not to bring a case of this stuff onto the plane from Florida. So there you go. When we're done here, send me an email. I've got something for you. Just send me an email, and I'll tell you what it is. Sean Grinstead. Hopefully, I'm saying that name right, Sean. Love seeing all the small independent inventors at these shows via YouTube. Me too. Mrs. McGolf gets on me about that one, but that's one of my favorite places to go. I go in there and they got that new inventions or new inventors or new to the show. And I like it for 2 reasons. Number one, I always, 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 and all that stuff that's in there, I'll find one thing that just, I gotta have that one. It's funny like that every year. And 2, when you go to see them, because they are new to the industry or new to the show, they have this amped up level of energy and excitement and things that they want to do while they're at the show, and it's contagious, and that's the really good part about it. Now, I've met doctors in physics. I've met guys that are garage mechanics. Just every shape and size and background that you can imagine with these different inventions, and anything from golf tees to things that make your joints not ache to uh, different kinds of shoes. We found there was a guy that was that the Crocs was making a golf shoe and had a Crocs sole in it, and that was there. We found that, and there's just tons of good stuff, and that will certainly be part of it. Well, Krister, you never know. That might be. That's kind of how it started, right? It started with just the basically country clubs getting together and basically trying to sell their stock that they had left over, and it grown into this. Now, I think the PGA show is going to have a lot of work to do on their hands to entice the OEMs back because it is very, very pricey for those guys to have those big, ginormous booths, bring all their people down, put them up for the week, take care of all the lodging and the food and that kind of stuff. It becomes quite the bill, and so they're really, really, really going to have to really pick up the pace. Now, what I really like, I think where they're missing out is the demo day. The demo day, that's where you put hands on, and a lot of people can go out there and hit. And that where they have it at Orange County National, you couldn't ask for a better setup. Now, the last year or two, the weather hasn't, it hasn't agreed with everybody out there with being cold or windy, but on the whole, it is actually pretty decent. And that is where I think a lot of ideas or a lot of, hey, I really like this come to be, and then it's finished off indoors. But I think they miss even the putters. I'd like to see the putting green or the wedge greens a little bit more. Well, in the past, they were very, very crowded. I'd like to see a little bit more from the OEMs there so you can test, say, the Odysseys or something along that lines. But, that's all things that Jim wants to see, not necessarily everybody else. Past my prime. Hello, Jim and Robin. Came in late last couple of weeks, but on time. Just figured check in. Well, thank you, sir. Hopefully, you're staying out of the snow with not very many of the folks on this side of the coast. I thought Star Grip was Pure Grip with the new name. Got a black Star Grip on my 3. Actually, no, they're not. They're two separate companies, Krister. The Star Grip has the, what do they call it, the Sidewinder and the Smoothie, and there's something else. And then Pure Grip. Now, I think there was some sort of association there, and they split up. But Pure Grip has taken off on their own. What is the difference between the Tour and the Quad Tour pistol? Calvin, so what the Quad Tour is if you think about it as a standard, if Mrs. McGolf is listening, maybe she'll bring one in. But the grip, looking on the big flat, is always going to be like this. It's always going to have the flat. It's on the back end. A pistol on the back end, when it gets to the top, it will have a slight curve in it. So it's a little bit bigger at the top. Whenever you've seen a pistol grip, oh, looky here. Here's a quad. So here's a red one. Quad Tour. See, look at that. I'm not lying. And see, there's that shape so that your hands get underneath of it like this. So it forces your hands underneath so that you give it the swing that you want. So what I'm talking about, see this guy right here? This would be bigger. Now this one might actually be the pistol. But in fact, I think this one is. So, in fact, I know it is. All right. So you see, you see how it got really big right here? That's the pistol. In the regular one, it'll go straight across. That's the difference. This is a good rubber too. If I had another putter, Mr. McGolf would have my head if I changed the putter grip right now. This is the other Garson grip. This is the one I started off with. It's hard to see, but right here is a ridge, and it's flat. See how it's flat right there? And then it's round underneath. Very big. So the idea is that you put your hands underneath and you run underneath that. Matt, Jumbo Max will be there. At least that's what the listing says. And yes, we will be seeing them. And if you guys have been watching, if how shall I say, if you guys spy the internet and you look around, Jumbo Max in some of their grips have released regular sizes. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Jumbo Max, their small size is bigger than most people's jumbos, most companies' jumbo size. They are now releasing a standard, a plus 1/3/16, plus 1/8. So basically a standard, a midsize, and a jumbo, and then it goes into their what they would call their standard. So it goes standard, mid, jumbo, small, medium, large. So you just got to keep that in mind. So for those guys who really like that grip feel or that grip size or the grip texture, then now you can get a normal size grip. All right. What does it mean on a tip trimming guide for a shaft example? An 18 -1, 21 -1. So what they're saying there, Darren, is for in this particular instance might be a utility iron, and the 18 degree is closer to like a 3 iron in this particular instance, and they're telling you for an 18-degree head in an iron, so to speak, or even or it could be a fairway wood, but it's highly unlikely. But for a like a utility iron, you just need to trim 1/2 of an inch prior to insertion for it to play to the flex that that thing was bought for. So if it was an S and you wanted to play to an S, they're saying if you wanted to play stiff, you trim off an 1/2 of 1 inch. Now to 21 to get that same feel because the club will be shorter and heavier in the head, that they want you to trim 1 inch. That's what it's for. All right. If I want to go longer in the shaft of my mini driver, thinking about 44 1/4, the swing weight will get higher. Yes, it will. What is best? Lead tape under the grip or counterbalance weight plug on the butt end? I want D3. Uh, for the way that you swing, Krister, I would actually go for the lead tape under the grip. That might actually help, and you may not need a whole lot either. And just put it right underneath your finger where your fingers would be on the grip, like right in there. Okay, that's where I would put it. All right, Dave, what's up? Just hit a Project X Even Flow Riptide Black. Ooh, 6.0, 55 gram, the driver's shaft this past weekend. All right, gained 4 mile an hour speed, usually gain 60, 65 gram shafts. Nice. Well, the Riptide Black's no joke, man. Anything from that True Temper clan, and if it's in black, it means it's stout. And at 55 grams, and you're talking about a 6.0, so I bet I would venture a guess that thing played just a hair more than advertised. And 55 grams giving you 4 extra miles, that's pretty good. I mean, that's every bit of, potential of 10 yards. So all day, man, good job. Explain smash factor. Okay. Smash factor is actually what I call the quality of the strike, and it is a relationship between club head speed and ball speed. It's a ratio between the two. So, for instance, you want the ball speed to be perfect off of a driver. If you hit a 100 mile an hour swing, you want the ball speed to be 150 mile an hour. That would be 1.5. See the ratio? Okay. And it's just purely speed to speed, and that's what it is. Now, ball speed is also impacted by how much you spin it, that's launch angle, all kinds of other things that are going on. So that's why I call it quality of hit. If you get up into that height, you're finding the middle of the club face, you're getting a good strike. And a good strike can override a lot of ills like not swinging as fast or other things, maybe hitting just slightly behind it or something along those lines. You're far more consistent that way, and you're basically getting the most out of your golf club. You like those? We've doing pretty good with those guys. They're looking pretty good in those things. Already did that one. Awesome. Alrighty. Also thinking on tip trimming my next shaft for mini driver to get the tip to be more stiff and stable. Hopefully get the launch spin down. How much would you tip trim? I would not, based on the stuff that you're using, Krister, I would not do 1 1/4 inches. I would probably do something half of that much. You have to look at the spec and see how much tip. Some of those don't have any extra tip. Some of them may only have three, and if they only have three, you don't want to give away. You don't want to take half of it because you still have to insert it back into the club. So a half would be very substantial. 3/4 of an inch would be better, and to go to an inch, you are really, really testing the boundaries of the shaft. It goes with you. No, no, we are not taking that weather with us. Jeff Klosterman, how are you doing, sir? Thoughts on winter set of irons getting fitted in the temperate conditions, adjusting length for lack of turf conditions in lofts to account for more bulky clothes. Winter set of irons. Okay. Well, the if you're being outside in the temperate conditions, what I would do is honestly is get to where you're comfortable because you're going to work up some heat. And when you get to the point where it becomes where you really, really want to tune it in, I'd strip off a layer or two and just see what happens. Now, you're also, with it being cooler, the ball's probably not going to fly as far. In almost every condition, if you're used to playing in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and you're playing in, say, the 50s, you're probably going to lose a club. So, you got to ratchet back your expectations of that. And, I would imagine eventually that, your swing speed will change, but it will change it dramatically. If you're on that border between a stiff and a regular, probably so. But if you're at the upper end, probably not, is where I would go with that. And a change in a golf ball might also be a consideration. Something maybe a tad softer so that when it gets cold, it plays a little bit more normal. There's Ray. A DAV. That's a neat little. I like that. It's a neat logo thing you got going on. D0 wedges D5. There you go. All right. Jack King. That was a far finger on the shaft link spec 45. Thanks for the answers. Okay. Yeah, that was a fat finger. Yeah, 45. Okay. That makes more sense for TM. They're in that 45 to 46 inch range. That's not out of whack. Rogue 110 MSI. That is one monstrous shaft. Would that be good candidate for tip trim to use in the mini driver? How much we need to trim it? I'd have to look at the amount of tip because the Rogues are in the very thing that we were just talking about, Krister, is the I don't think that there's a whole lot on those. So I wouldn't give up too much. I would start at the half first and just make sure that it fit in there. There's PGA Steve. Look at him with that Callaway bag on there. Nicely done, sir. So that golf I told you on that I was going to be doing on Monday is going to be with that guy right there. Right there. And he's bringing in heavy hitters too to go with it. We'll have to talk about that one if we can. So we'll have to see, Steve, whether or not they like us broadcasting from their resort or not. All right. Isn't the fitting tip for Callaway 3 Woods different from the drivers? Yes, they are. The adapter is, but not the tip of the shaft. I thought it was shorter and it wouldn't connect. Ryan, you are correct. The driver is much bigger than the fairway, but when we're talking about just changing shafts, the shaft tip that goes on the inside is much, or they're the same. They're the same. Brian, how are you, sir? It's been a bit. Just bought a used Sim 2. Good for you. It's 45 C5. Ooh, must be light. Standard 22 gram. 22 gram back weight. There it is. How much heat required to remove the weight? Apparently, Tim used Loctite at the factory. It's been a while for Loctite. I don't know. Because you're in a driver shaft, because you're in a graphite shaft, Brian. You don't want to use too much because you'll damage the graphite thread. So it depends on what it looks like. If there's a little bit of a hole, in the center of that guy, what I do is I'd run a screw into that. I would run a screw into it. Number one, what I do is I heat the outside no more than 5 seconds at a crack and no more 10 seconds total to allow the heat to get in. Then I would run a screw into a hole, or I would drill a hole and put a screw in it and try and just pull it out straight that way. All right. Mike from Snowy Buffalo. Mike, although in I should say, isn't Buffalo always snowy? Oh my. But they did pretty good with the football team, didn't they? That was pretty cool. You get to knock off your neighbors.
That was funny, and now you're over.
That was funny, and now I'm over. Uh-oh.
10 minutes.
10 minutes over, guys. Here we go. Brian and Matt with a hockey stick. Yeah, no doubt. Here's Alan. Alan, I'm in Central Florida. It's too cold for the. No doubt, right? I mean, I got family down in Florida, Alan, and it starts hitting 50 degrees and the parkas are coming out. And I just giggle because I'm running around in pants and a shirt and I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And if I'm feeling really good, I'll put on a sweatshirt and throw on some shorts. And then that way you guys all know I'm a tourist. Well, we could always use a good teacher and a good buddy down here, no problem. Randy D, greetings from Winnipeg. That's new. Randy, thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts on the Royal Precision Rifle 8-iron shaft for a Copen Flex? I'm only laughing, Randy, because we've had this one the last time or two. So in short, that is what they call a spinner shaft. When we talked about that last week, in very simple terms, that's a spinner shaft. There's a little more into it, but as a whole, there you go. And yes, I mean, if you want a little bit of snap, so what you get is you get all the feel with a little bit more spin, and that's what you get. As a matter of fact, I was just, True Temper did something different with this hourglass, went smooth and then big, and then back down to it in what they called a DG spinner. And it basically was in the same concept was what they were trying to get to. And you go up you can stay the same weight, but you go up a flex and you cut it to 8-iron length, and voila, you're in. But yeah, I like them. And you'll find out a lot of the OEMs are already doing that. Okay. Now you can get a little bit more touchy-feely, hands-on kind of stuff when you do that. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I have not. I'm not a switch grip guy. But no, I saw them. I like the idea of the different colors. I like the idea of the ability to do it. I just didn't try it. There's my buddy Brendan. How are you, sir? In the hunt for a new 3-wood, what's the new Callaway Rogue like and the shafts? I don't know. I can't tell you. All I know is what I've seen. And of course, they have the AI face. They have the weighting in the back. It has the carbon fiber top. All the things that you want to see in a 3-wood. And they're going to come with probably the 10 size are probably going to be in there, either the blue or the white, depending on if you want to keep the ball down or let it go up. Down for you where you're playing, I'm sure, and that would be in the white category. And they will come in different weights and flexes too using that. If it's anything like the Epic was, it will be an absolute rocket ship. Okay, that's all based on hearsay and analyzing the head and how it's constructed and things like that. I have yet to see one. Well, I have seen one in person, but I have yet to swing one, hit one, or have anybody else hit one. There's Larry. What a most rewarding fitting that you have done. What's the most rewarding fitting I've done? Either drastic improvement of the fitting or maybe some crazy combination that worked better than you thought. Well, Larry, here's when people ask me that, this is the story that I give them. The best one I've ever got was a crazy distance. I got a guy 150 yards in a driver fitting. I'll let that sink in. A guy got 150 yards in a driver fitting. And this actually it does have a something to learn in the story. So a gentleman came to see me, and the man was easily 6'6", and he comes into me and he tells me he can't hit the driver over 50 yards. I'm like, dude, anybody your size and your what you're doing can hit the ball well over 50 yards. He says, nope, only 50 yards. All right, got me intrigued. Let me see you swing. And he swings, and he swings, and his swing arc is this wide. It doesn't go, it barely goes from outside the 1 foot to outside the other foot, and virtually goes 50 yards. And so as we're talking, I'm a little closer to him, and I notice that he has a big old scar here. And so I asked him, I said, have you had any medical procedures as of late in the last, say, year or two? Man, that opened up a Pandora's box. He told me about going through here to get the spines um, secured together because the couple of the spine plates were not working. Rotator cuff surgery on both shoulders and knee, all kinds of stuff. I said, "Wow, that's you had a bad year." And he said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Are you healed up?" He goes, "Yep." I said, "Not afraid? Doctors cut you loose." He said, "Yep." I said, "Are you sure?" He says, "Yep." And I said, "Okay." So I stood next to him and I said, "Okay, get ready to swing back." And as he pulls back, I pulled him back to about halfway. And you would have thought I was cutting a toe off. Like, and and I brought him halfway. And then I said, "Okay, you ready? Let's swing through." And I went back through the other way, and I had him only just so now we've gone from this far to this far. And I said, "Now hit, just hit out there, hit out there." And he hits a handful, and he's out to 100 and a quarter. And I'm like, "Well, look at that! You can hit it out mass 50 yards now." And he says, "Wow, that's great." I said, "We're not done." And so he said, "All right, ready to come back?" And he looks at me, kind of gives me one of those. And I said, "Yep." And I pulled him back, and I pulled him back to a full backswing, or at least what could be perceived as one. And he's like, another big deep breath. And I take him out the other way. I said, "Now this is your full finish. Now do that." He throws him out. And, of course, he's not swinging real fast, but he gets out to 200 yards. So what was happening? He was protecting himself from all his previous injuries. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. You get a guy that has a bad knee, a bad hip, a bad wrist, a bad shoulder, and they're making all these swings because the doctors told them to lay off as long as you possibly can. And so these swing changes they're happening all over the place in order to make it around the golf course so that it doesn't hurt. And rightfully so, because it doesn't hurt. Well, now you go and you get your surgery. Doesn't hurt anymore. But yet now it's an ingrained habit. It's an ingrained habit. And you go, wow, I just went and got my shoulder taken care of, or my spine taken care of, or my hip, my knee taken care of, and I'm not hitting any further. That was a waste of a waste of a surgery, except for I feel better. Well, no, it's because now you have to relearn how to get out of protecting yourself and making that normal swing. Fitting. There you go. All righty. Listen to you guys. The snow makes me glad it's summer here in South Australia. Brad, thank you so very much, buddy. Thank you for being up in the morning now, right? All right, couple more. What's the difference between, yeah, I've seen that one. All right. Do. Hey, we get to go down here further. All right, Alan, what's the one? That's the one with the angle. There is no ferrule. I don't know what that means. I must have missed something up here further. All right. All right. You know what? The whole Robin knows. She's probably answered you by now. Heck yes, Matt. Time to go that way. And Peru, is the PGA show worth going to anymore? And then this time around, if you were traveling from outside the U.S., I would say no. Just to be fair to the people visiting it, it's not much fair to the people that are spending the money to exhibit at it. However, it depends on what you're going for. If you're there for the equipment, then no, because there's only going to be one group there, and it's Bridgestone. But if you're there to get an overall experience, I would give you a soft maybe. Next year, assuming that we get through all this stuff that we're going through now, then certainly, if you want to see stuff. Now, I will say from a technology point of view, it's very much worth it. You get to see all uh, the launch monitors, the simulators, the putting stuff. All that stuff will be in full force out there, and that certainly would be worth it. All righty. Will it hurt to shave a hybrid shaft to put in a Callaway utility wood? No, but be very careful. It depends on the shaft. If there's a lot of meat down there, no problem. If it's a very thin wall, then don't do it. Joe Palace, how are you, sir? From Yuma, 70-degree weather. Wow, is that kind of low for Yuma? All right, well done. Thank you for showing up. He's going to Buffalo. All righty. Henry D. Hart, how are you, sir? A cold Louisiana. Oh, the guy I'm doing the stretching and the workout from, he's down in Louisiana. Kevin Hart, is there a 115 gram that would be comparable to the Modus in R-Flex? Kevin, unfortunately, would be my opinion, no. Because when you have to put that much weight on, that's the barrier where graphite and steel meet, where graphite stops becoming all the advantage of graphite being lighter, although it will be a super duper shock absorber. But when you put all that extra weight on, it becomes a lot more stiff. And that's where you got to kind of really watch that. And honestly, I don't know. There's 100 grammers out there that would probably do the trick. The Acra, I'm going by what I know. The Acra's got one. I'm thinking KBS has got one as well. All right. Cobra's releasing their new Beast driver the 19th. Okay. Couple more. Here we go. Alan, what's the trick to removing all Wilson Blades iron shaft from the head? Well, Alan, number one, patience. Patience is number one because chances are if it's old, it's probably rusted itself to the head. That's number one. Number two is you've got to be very mindful. Look on the side, either the leading edge or the trailing edge, and look and see if there's not just a little bitty dot. If you see a little bitty dot, that means that head has been pinned. And that means there's a pin running through the shaft, and it's not coming out no matter how much heat you apply to it. You're going to have to take a punch and push it out. That's what you're doing. I'm being told it's time to go. I'm pretty close. One more. Here we go. Up two more. Big Al, what's the nearest shaft to the Project X PXI spec? Would it be the LZ or something else? Looking for some advice. I have some 6.5s in my 3 I want to upgrade the set. Well, they will tell you that the PXI and the LZ are very, very close, and that's what they will tell you, and I would have to agree with that one. And the LZ is not bad. I like it. It's a good little club. Andrew K, have you ever fitted a mid to high handicapper into a low spin driver? All the time, dude. If so, which manufacturer do you think offers the most forgiveness in a low spin driver? Mizuno. That would be number one. And then it depends on how you come into it, Andrew, but Mizuno would be my first choice overall. And then I would see how it works in the Callaway Epic in their Max LS ball or their Max LS to see whether or not you could handle it or bring it around. And because it has adjustability to help be more forgiving. As a whole, though, I would go with Mizuno. All right. Alan's here hitting it. Nice. The high handicapper with low spin, bro. Just get yourself a first generation slider. Your head on the wall, it gets spin out of your mind. Yeah. I would just, yeah. But I like the new Mizunos, even this generation Mizuno before the ones coming out here shortly. Those are the ones. Yeah, swing speed, and you could also consider a shaft too, right? You don't want probably the combination of the two will help you bring it down. All right, couple more here. Would you bend a ping iron loft or lie or send them back to ping? I find it intimidating with the notch in the hosel. I have bent tons of pings, Emmanuel, to my well, shall I say, it tuckers me out because they're so hard. That little notch in the back is there so you can bend them. All right. They put that notch back there to make it easier to do that very thing because the metal is so hard. There's Cuz. How you saying? How you doing, kiddo? Would an AP? Yes. 28 handicap? Yeah. The DCB is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a deep cavity back, a lot of offset. It's not as strong it's not as strong as the other ones, but the offset and the slightly larger cavity make it suitable for somebody like that. Oh, no problem, buddy. All righty. Okay, guys, we're getting close. I got to get a cute couple more in here, and then I'm done. Let's go with this. Marcus, what do you say, buddy? I believe that it is a trapezoid. There you go. Trapezoid. You win. That's exactly what I was thinking of right there. Trapezoid. Well done, sir. Steel fibers. They're there. They're very solid. I probably will never put them in any of my stuff, but they are a good shaft. Only because they don't fit me. All right. Try hot or not. Yeah, I'd do the Odyssey first too. You'd get more out of it. The benefit would be way bigger. Go, Mike Zuloff. How you doing, buddy? Thank you very much. Very good, sir. All righty. Let's see. I got to cut a guy out of here. There we go. All right, last one right here. Slow swing speed. Hey, Robin, the old PCS and Golfsmith guy here. How you doing in Georgia? Good friends with Dana. Dude, that's too bad. I was sad to see him go. I've met with him more than a few times when we had those meetings, and he was a good guy. Little bullheaded in some cases, but he was a good guy. Very good club maker. Here's Ellen. If you care to get out in one of the Tampa Bay, reach out to me. I would love to host Ennis Brook and Old Memorial TPC Southern. Just let me know. Ellen, that would be my pleasure, bud. When I get some time, that we will do that. Actually, I won my PCS International Clubmaker of the Year at Ennis Brook. That was so good memories down there. All righty. Oh, nice. Well done, Randy. Well done. Okay, last one. Here we go. I keep saying last one. This is going to be it right here. Can you talk about how much lie angle affects ball flight if you've never got fitted for irons? I'm very interested. So, a Luna Cara 1. Lie angle affects the direction of the ball flight as more upright goes to your inside, flatter goes away, and if it's dead straight, dead right on for you, it's there. Two things that impact lie angle, or three things. One is the length of the club in comparison to you. All right. If you're a shorter guy, chances are you're swinging it flatter to bring a whole club around. Now, if you like a flat swing, that's not a problem. However, if you want to get a little bit more upright into what would be a traditional style, you'll either have to choke down or get them cut down and then swing in that way. And then what'll happen is that you'll do less toe digging and more being into the center. And notice how I didn't change anything. However, you do want to get checked and then have them bent for that. The other one is the type of shaft you have. Some will bend down more than others. And that's what we want to get to. That's what we want to check. You want to be checked dynamically, the way that you swing and interact with the turf so that you have the right lie angle. It is okay to have your toes sticking up in the air as long as you're meeting the turf in the middle of the sole of the club when you go through. And that's what we want. All right, guys, this is going to be the first time I'm not going to be able to make it to the bottom. Look at this. I am just absolutely shocked and amazed at this. All the way down to the bottom. I'm going. All righty. So I've gone a full half an hour over. Mrs. McGolf is going to get all over me. Again, guys, if you don't mind, like and subscribe, and we'll get another video out. Watch us for the setups. I will send out notes of whether or not we're going to get out a live stream on Monday from the golf course or not. If not, we certainly will be doing it on Tuesday, Wednesday, and not necessarily Thursday. So Tuesday and Wednesday for sure, and we can go over what I saw. I'll be taking lots of pictures and doing some videos to, help show you what I saw as well, and we'll get out there. Again, guys, if you're in the snow, be careful. And if you're not, have fun. And as always, guys, let's see your scores go low.